There's a level of discipline that makes others take notice and even feel intimidated. Today, you'll learn exactly how to reach that level. Have you ever noticed someone who never seems to fail? Who wakes up at the same time every day, follows a routine consistently, and never stops moving forward? While most people give up after a few weeks, they keep going. While others make excuses, they simply show up. And the common reaction? That's not normal. In Japan, Zen monks developed an ancient system that creates this kind of unshakable consistency. It's called guji, a practice that sustains itself. Once you understand how it works, you'll find it much easier to achieve your goals without breaking focus. But there's a warning. This system isn't for everyone. It demands that you let go of parts of yourself you never realized were holding you back. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment on the habit you most want to develop. It really helps me and shows that you're serious about making a change. Chapter 1. The Awakening. The story begins with a programmer named Raphael. He was smart, successful in his career, but struggled with one thing. He couldn't maintain any habit for more than a couple of weeks. Exercise? He'd quit after 2 months. Meditation? 1 week, and he'd stop. Reading? He'd start a book, read a few pages, and then leave it untouched. The pattern was always the same. Full motivation on Monday, and then it would fade. Wednesday, first mental negotiation. Friday, complete surrender. Sunday, promises about starting fresh next week. Raphael tried everything. Habit tracking apps, rewards, accountability partners, but nothing worked. He was fighting a force he didn't even realize existed. The very structure of his own brain. That is, until the day he discovered the reason Zen monks can meditate for centuries without missing a single day. And no, it's not about willpower. It's something deeper and far more compelling. Chapter 2. The Secret of the Monks. In Zen temples, there's a rule that seems simple but completely changes how habits form. It's called guji. Translated literally, it means continuous practice without gaps. Think about that for a moment. Since 1200 AD, a bell rings at 3:30 a.m. every day at a high temple. And every day, the monks rise, not at 3:25, not at 3:35, but exactly at 3:30 a.m. Here's the remarkable part. No monk ever lies in bed thinking, maybe I'll skip today. The question doesn't exist. Why? Because they've grasped a truth most people don't. The brain separates every commitment into 2 categories. Reversible and irreversible. Reversible commitments turn into mental negotiations. Irreversible commitments simply happen. When a monk takes his vows in front of the community, he isn't just making a promise. He's reshaping his identity. He's not saying he'll try to meditate. He's declaring himself a meditator. The community sees it, the identity shifts, and the negotiation ends. A Harvard neuroscientist who has studied habits for 15 years discovered something groundbreaking. When a behavior is made public, the primitive brain treats failure as a threat to survival. Our ancestors who lost status in the tribe often didn't survive, and your brain still reacts in the same way. This is exactly what Raphael applied. He stopped making private promises and started declaring his goals publicly. He wrote on paper, I am a person who meditates 20 minutes every day at 5 a.m. for 90 consecutive days. He signed it, shared it on social media, and told everyone he knew. His girlfriend said, you're being too dramatic. His coworkers said, man, you're trying too hard. Perfect. Every comment became fuel. Every morning, when he wanted to quit, he remembered that he would have to face everyone and admit he had failed. By day 3, the first real test arrived. The alarm rang at 5 a.m., and immediately his mind started its usual arguments. You're tired. This isn't healthy. One day won't matter. But something fundamental had changed. The thought of posting online that he had quit after just 3 days was unbearable. Facing his girlfriend and admitting he had failed again felt even worse. The public declaration had made giving up more painful than continuing. Yet the real challenge was just beginning. Chapter 3. The Internal War. Even with all this social pressure, Raphael still fought an internal battle every day. His body didn't care about reputation. It It craved sleep when he was tired. The public commitment ended the mental negotiation, but he still had to confront his biology each morning. That's when he discovered the monk's second principle, non-negotiable hours. Every day, we waste mental energy on the same question. When should I do this? Now or later? Morning or evening? Each decision burns brain glucose that could be used for actual practice. You're wasting energy deciding when to drive instead of driving. Raphael chose 5 a.m., not because he loved sunrises or was naturally a morning person, but because the world was asleep. No messages, no emails, no distractions, no excuses. The time wasn't about optimization. It was about elimination, removing every reason to postpone. The first week was brutal. His body resisted every morning. That's normal. Your body is a machine built on patterns, and creating a new one triggers pushback. By the second week, something shifted. He started waking up 2 minutes before the alarm. His body had begun anticipating what lay ahead. On day 14, the alarm rang, and his feet hit the floor before his conscious mind even engaged. No thought, no decision, just action. Here's what most people don't realize about fixed hours. It's not about finding the perfect schedule. It's about removing time as a variable. Doing something at different times each day forces your brain to make a new decision every time. With a fixed schedule, the brain has no room to argue. It simply follows the routine. But Raphael discovered a new challenge. His schedule was fixed, yet he kept changing what he did during that time. Some mornings, meditation felt right. Other days, he read, and sometimes he did a few push-ups. His brain had found a new point to negotiate. Instead of arguing about when, it now argued about what. The 20 minutes at 5 a.m. were consistent, but the practice itself was chaotic. Fixing the schedule solved half the problem, but his mind was still searching for loopholes. He had removed the when, but not the what. This is where Dogen's teaching on forms becomes controversial. It demands doing the exact same activity every day until the mind fully surrenders. Chapter 4. The One Way. You might think variety keeps things interesting, but in reality, variety is where consistency breaks down. Every time you change what you do, your brain faces tiny decisions, push-ups or burpees. Which book to read? How long to meditate? Each small choice becomes a crack where old habits can slip back in. Raphael locked everything down completely. 20 push-ups, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of reading. Same order, same timer, every single day. His personal Ango period, 90 days of identical practice. His friends called him robotic. His girlfriend said he was becoming annoying. They didn't understand that being annoying was exactly the point. By the third week, his mind went to war. Every morning it screamed for variety. This is stupid. You're not a robot. Change it up or you'll burn out. In the fourth week, something shifted. Not his discipline, but his resilience. The voice of negotiation grew quieter. By week 6, he was halfway through his push-ups before he even realized he'd started. The practice was running itself. This is what most people misunderstand about consistency. It's not about willpower lasting forever. It's about repeating a habit until willpower is no longer needed. Your body learns the sequence, just like a dancer learns choreography. An MIT researcher who has studied the automatization of behavior for 12 years explains, when you repeat an action in the same context for roughly 66 days, the basal ganglia in the brain take over. The behavior becomes automatic. You no longer decide to do it. You just do it. On day 35, Raphael caught the flu. On day 40, he was traveling for work. This is exactly where old patterns emerge. Sick day, rest day, travel day, exception. This is where most people quit because perfect practice seems to require perfect conditions, and perfect conditions don't exist. But Dogen understood something critical about gaps. Practice must continue without interruption, because in any gap, old habits return. What saved Raphael when circumstances went wrong was realizing that practice doesn't demand perfection. It demands continuity. Chapter 5. Practice without a gap. The all-or-nothing mindset has destroyed more consistency than laziness ever could. You tell yourself, if I can't do the full 20 minutes, why do anything? If I can't do perfect push-ups, I'll start tomorrow. That thinking creates gaps, and gaps are where the old self sneaks back in. Look at any elite athlete, and you'll notice something people often misunderstand. They have rest days, but those rest days are intentional, strategic, and planned, not excuses. A rest day is meant to allow them to train harder tomorrow. It's still forward progress. But skipping because you're tired isn't rest, it's retreat. A river never stops flowing. During a drought, it may become a trickle, but it still flows. The moment it stops, it is no longer a river. It's just a memory of where water once ran. Your practice is only effective as long as it continues. The moment you create a gap, you stop practicing. You become someone who used to practice. On day 40, travel day arrived. Airport at 4 a.m., meetings all day, and no gym at the hotel. Raphael did push-ups in the airport bathroom, drawing curious stares. He meditated in the Uber and read on the plane. Nothing was perfect, but everything maintained momentum toward the same goal he had declared 90 days ago. This is Jyogi, practice that continues itself. That's when people began to notice. Coworkers said he seemed different. Friends thought he was becoming obsessive. Someone even remarked that his discipline wasn't healthy, that normal people don't act like that. When you hear these words, it's a sign you're on the right track. Normal people get normal results. You're not aiming for normal. You're aiming to be unbreakable. But here's what no one warns you about. The unexpected obstacles you can't plan for because you don't even know they exist. Chapter 6, Pre-Solutions. Your child gets sick. Your car breaks down on the way to the gym. Your boss keeps you late. These are the true consistency killers because you haven't pre-decided how to handle them. Every unexpected obstacle forces a decision under stress. And in that moment, most people take the path of least resistance. The obstacle wins because you're fighting battles you didn't prepare for. Zen monasteries have operated for centuries without missing a single day of practice. Through earthquakes, wars, and famines. How? They don't decide when obstacles appear. The solution already exists. When a meditation hall floods, they move to the dining hall. When the dining hall catches fire, they sit in the courtyard. No discussion, no negotiation. The bell rings, the response is automatic. Raphael applied the same principle. He wrote down every obstacle that had ever broken his consistency and pre-solved each one. Rain? Push-ups in the garage. Guests at home? Silent workout in the bathroom. Hangover? 2 push-ups, 1 minute of meditation, 1 page of reading. Each scenario had a predetermined response. When X happens, I do Y. No thinking, no negotiating, just execution. The power of this approach isn't just maintaining the routine, it's eliminating wasted mental energy. Your brain knows that no matter what happens tomorrow, the practice continues. This certainty transforms your entire nervous system. A Yale behavioral psychologist who has studied decision-making for 20 years found that when you pre-decide your actions, you remove decision fatigue at critical moments. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for willpower, remains fully available to execute rather than deliberate. By day 70, Raphael's practice had become automatic. Sometimes he would wake up without even remembering doing the push-ups. His body simply moved through the routine like a well-programmed machine. When his girlfriend's mother visited for a week, he still did push-ups in the bathroom at 5 a.m. The practice continued because the answers were already set. On day 90, he completed his personal Ango, 3 months of uninterrupted practice. But something deeper had happened. He was no longer the same person. Friends literally told him, "Your consistency is scary." His response was perfect. Great. Chapter 7. The Transformation. When your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you know you're operating at the right level. Your existence proves that what others claim is impossible is merely uncomfortable. That's why people will call you obsessive. That's why they'll insist you need balance. They want you to slow down so they can feel better about standing still. But you're not doing this for them. You're doing it because you've discovered the secret. Consistency isn't about doing something every day. It's about becoming someone who cannot act any other way. When you implement the Jyoji system, public declaration, fixed schedule, seamless practice method, and pre-resolved solutions, you're not just building habits. You're reshaping your identity. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who simply is. And when that transformation is complete, people will look at you and wonder, how does he do that? The answer is simple. He doesn't. He is. The question is, are you ready for this level of transformation? This isn't about discipline alone. It's about death and rebirth. The death of your inconsistent self and the birth of your unbreakable self. The Jyoji system won't just make you better. It will make you different. Someone others will see and think, that's not normal. And when you hear those words, you'll know you've arrived where you wanted to be. If this video changed your perspective on discipline and consistency, subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss future content that could transform you. Tell me in the comments, what will your public declaration be? What habit will you implement using the Jyoji system? Remember, the consistency that scares others is the only consistency worth having. If you've watched this far, thank you for your attention. See you in the next video.